भक्ति। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणी निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य इष्टारिणी। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे. So yesterday we were seeing that there are two kinds of living entities. One is those who are eternally liberated, and the second type is those that are eternally conditioned. The eternally conditioned living entities can be divided into two types. One is moving, the other is non-moving. Non-moving means that remains in one place, like the trees. So they are classified as sthavar or non-moving, and those that move, they are called jangam, the birds, the beasts, and everything. The moving entities are further divided into those that fly in the sky, those that swim in the water, and those that walk on the land. Out of the many trillions and millions and trillions of living entities on land, the human beings are very, very few. And even out of those small number of set of human beings, most of these human beings are totally ignorant of the spiritual science. They are unclean in their habits. Unclean means they don't follow the four regulative principles, or any one of the four regulative principles, or any two of the regulative principles. Those who don't follow are called unclean in their habits. The four regulative principles are the basic standard for a human being to qualify as a human being. And otherwise, they are just two-legged animals, nothing else. So, what are the four regulative principles? One is no, um, no meat eating. So that is the basis for compassion. No meat eating means one should show compassion toward all other living entities. So no fish, no eggs, no meat, nothing. None of these uh, killing of other living entities and just for the gratification of own senses. So that is inhuman. So that is not humanly act. The next is the other regulative principle is no um, intoxication. So we see that each and everyone, anywhere we look, left, right, center, everywhere we look, people are, taking tea, coffee, they are smoking, and then drinking alcohol. These are so common. So this intoxication, this kind of. And then worst is people are taking drugs also. But actually, uh, it is not about what is worst, not like that. All of these qualify under intoxication. This is all intoxication. Why somebody has to drink tea? Because their senses, they are so bound by it. They cannot stay without drinking tea. They will say, my head is aching, I cannot stay without drinking tea. Some people will say, if we don't smoke, we are unable to pass motion. They get constipation if they don't smoke. So all this is nothing, but basically they are all slaves of their senses. So then what is the difference between them and the animals? So the second thing. Then the third principle is no gambling. So any kind of gambling, there are so many betting these days. There are apps, there are games promoted by on the television. You bet which team is going to win, which cricket team is going to win, and you will get so many this amount of rupees. You will win as a as a prize. So all that is this is all gambling. Then stock marketing, when people are doing stock market trading, what if you sell this stock, you're going to gain this much profit, or hold back the stock and wait for so many days. So all this is nothing but this is all speculation. So any kind of speculation, anything based on speculation, this is actually not what humans are supposed to do. That is not the reason why somebody has been given the human body. A soul is given a human body for higher purpose, because only human beings are given a higher intelligence. Otherwise, all the other living entity, all the other living entities, they are also doing the four acts of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And as human beings, also, if somebody is doing the same thing, then what is the difference between that so-called human being and the animals? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, these are the basic activities that every living entity, whether it is an insect, whether it is microscoping insects, which we cannot see with our eyes, with our normal naked eyes, what we cannot see, even they are doing these activities, and even humans are doing these activities. Then, what is the purpose of the human body? They have been given a special intelligence so that they can figure out what is the purpose of this human life. What is my goal? What should be my aim? How can I make this life successful? Not in the materialistic ways, but the human form of life. What is the ultimate goal of this life? This is the purpose why somebody gets a human body. If if this purpose is not fulfilled, then that human being is just namesake human being. Actually, is as good as a two-legged animal only, nothing else. And the fourth principle, regulative principle, is no illicit sex. So one should be very, very clean in their habits. One should not, um, either they are, if they are not married, they should maintain their cleanliness, their chastity, by maintaining brahmachari ashram, or if they are married, they should be very, very loyal, very clean in their habits, and not have many affairs. They should not have relationship with other women or other men. So that is no illicit sex. So or illicit relationships. So anything of this sort, these four regulative principles are very important, which um, and if somebody is not following any of this or all of these, they are unclean in their habits. Even animals are very unclean in their habits. Even birds are very unclean in their habits. But it's okay for them, because they are not given a human body. They have been given that particular body because they have been unclean in their habits when they got a human body. Because of their unclean habits in the human body, because of the desires they had in the human body, they have been granted this animal and the bird and the beast and insect body now. So if we are also behaving the same way, we will also be given a body based on our activities and our habits. And most of these people, they are ignorant of spiritual science, unclean in their habits, and they have no faith in the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they just live like animals only. Therefore, they should be deducted from the total number of human beings that constitute the civilized human society. Although they may look like humans, but their number should be deducted. These are all animals, just looking like humans. We can hardly find any human beings who believe in the Vedic scriptures and the existence of God. Bahunam janmanam antema jnanavam mam prapadyate. So after millions and trillions of births, somebody actually gets the great fortune where they are able to understand, or where they get a little interest in listening about God, or then after listening, even out of them who are listening, very few believe in what they are listening. They believe in the Vedic scriptures, or they believe in the existence of God. Out of them, even very few, they are ready to follow the instructions of God. So we can hardly find any human beings who believe in Vedic scriptures and the existence of God, or even in proper behavior. Those who do believe in these things and in advancing in spiritual life are known as Aryans. Out of those who believe in the scriptures and the advancement of human civilization, there are two classes, the righteous and the unrighteous. Those who are righteous generally execute fruitive activities to derive some good result for sense gratification. So these people think that, okay, let me do good karma so that I get good results, so that I can enjoy the good results. So, righteous. And out of many such persons who engage in righteous activities for sense gratification. So, good karma means good results will come and I will be able to enjoy the good results, the good fruits. So, sense gratification. Out of them, only a few come to know about the absolute truth. Out of these people who are doing all this good karma for their sense gratification, out of them, very few of them, they get an opportunity, they get that good fortune to know about the absolute truth. What is the absolute truth, uh, or ultimate truth? And these are called gnanis, the empiric philosophers in search of the absolute truth. Out of many hundreds and thousands of such empiric philosophers, only a handful actually attain liberation. People talk about moksha. So out of all these, these gyanis who are trying to find what is the ultimate truth, what is the ultimate truth, what is the absolute truth or higher purpose, all that. So these people are all speculating, trying to learn from, from scriptures. They are trying to do it all by themselves. So out of them, only a few are able to actually reach the goal, their goal, that is liberation. When one is liberated, he theoretically understands that the living entity is not composed of material elements but a spirit soul. So, after one is liberated, so just imagine, after one is liberated, they theoretically understand, not even practically, they don't experience or realize it. They just theoretically understand that ultimately the living entity, that means whatever we see with our eyes, the bodies, the living entities that we are seeing, they are not composed of some material elements, but actually it is the spirit soul which is important. And the spirit soul is distinct from matter. Matter and spirit soul are not same. The spirit soul, the soul, the atma, cannot be, you cannot cut it with a knife, you cannot burn it, you cannot put it in water, it will not become wet. It will always, you cannot dry it somehow. You can do nothing with the spirit soul. Nothing is possible. You cannot do anything with the spirit soul. But with matter, you take a cloth, you put it in water, it becomes wet. You hang it in the sun, it becomes dry. You cut it, you can cut things. Or if you burn it, matter will get burnt, any kind of matter. So we understand that spirit soul is different, very distinct from matter, not same as matter. Simply by understanding this doctrine, even theoretically, one qualifies as a mukta. So if somebody understands that spirit and matter are not same, then theoretically that person is liberated. If everyone present here, if we understand this theoretically, that okay, my soul and my body, they are distinct. Okay, there is huge difference, points of difference. If you understand, then we are already liberated. Theoretically, we are anyways liberated, that means. So, but the actual mukta, the actual liberation is he, or the actually liberated person is he who understands that his constitutional position is the of being the part and parcel of the Lord, and being the Supreme Lord's eternal servant. That is actual liberation. When somebody understands that my position is not just that I'm a soul, I'm not the matter, and that is not the ultimate liberation. That is theoretically we understand, okay, fine. But when we understand that I'm actually part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and my ultimate goal or my ultimate thing that I should be aiming at is to serve, because I am the Supreme Lord's eternal servant. Eternally, I'm actually his servant. But right now, I'm serving somebody else. I'm serving Maya. Such liberated souls engage with faith and devotion in the service of the Lord, and they are called Krishna Bhakta, or the Krishna conscious persons. And Krishna Bhaktas are always free from all material desires. What happens next? We'll continue reading tomorrow. We'll see tomorrow. Krishna willing. Thank you very much for your kind association.